Hi, everybody. Welcome to the SalesIntel show, the pipeline pioneer, where our goal, our objective is to help the community learn from the experts, from practitioners, and from the leaders as to how to build a sustainable pipeline, a pipeline that converts into revenue. As we all know, pipeline is the heartblood of any organization, and we at SalesIntel believe that generating pipeline is a team sport. It's not just the BDR responsibility or the marketing team's responsibility. It truly takes a village to build a pipeline that effectively converts into revenue. Today, I'm excited to have Melissa with me. Melissa, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me. I've listened to some episodes already, and I'm very honored to be here.
No, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Melissa, to start things off, why don't you tell our audience about you and your business and how in your role do you help influence the pipeline generation for your business?
Yeah, so I am general manager at a company called Matcha. We are a brand within Commsor, and Matcha is a platform that's being created to really help individuals at the professional level connect with more intention. So we often, you may hear our broader brand talking about go-to-network strategy, whereas shifting our tactics in the entire revenue pipeline to be based more off of network and relationship-driven sales versus, pure scale automation gone wild. And so what Matcha does as a platform is essentially double down on the idea that the deeper human connections are the big drivers of our growth, both maybe from our day jobs, but also professionally. People finding the next step in their career, people finding, uncovering opportunity for a business idea. A lot of that comes from the one-to-one meeting. So the platform in general is around that. One of our current products that has seen a lot of success is we actually deliver one-to-one matching programs for groups, communities, and teams. So whether you're a software company who wants to engage with your customers on that one-to-one level, or whether you're a remote global company that wants to build more engagement among your team, Matcha can provide that. So as GM, actually, I'm in the perfect role for me. I've been a long-time marketer. I spent a lot of time on the marketing side of the table, but I've always had this pull and tendency to work on product and marketing together, and seeing the product that you build being a core piece of your marketing, right, of the whole funnel. And so as GM, I oversee a team of engineers, designers, and then the marketing function, which really is great because I finally have the ability to see the whole picture and to assign importance in what we do and the priorities that we have based on the needs of the business. So really glad to be in a GM role today versus just a pure marketer. That said, I know a lot of marketers who have done all the hard work to create that in their orgs as well. I have as well, but it's a fortunate role to be able to actually have a hand over the whole side of things.
Yeah, and because you're a marketer, in 20 years of your life, you said you spend in marketing. Inherently, you're helping everybody being a GM, build a pipeline.
Yes, and I will speak loud and proud about breaking down those silos. So helping your product team think about building growth loops that are essentially driving marketing, and having your marketing really think about leveraging product as one of the best ways to go to market, right? Like really translating that into the marketing initiatives and making it deeply tied with what you're building. I think too often we've seen people cart before the horse when you preach that you've built something and it doesn't exist. Or potentially even more painful, you've built something amazing and it never makes it to market. So I'm all about breaking down silos, and it's nice to be in a role that I can do that.
That's great. That's great. So last year was hard, right? For many companies that just didn't hit their revenue numbers, pipelines weren't quite there. And the ones that were there because of the macroeconomic headwinds, the sales cycles kept getting longer and longer, right? And we all made lots of mistakes, right, in that whole chaos. When you look back at 23, what jumps out?
Well, first I would say we could say we made mistakes, but I think we should give ourselves a bit of grace. It was, as you mentioned, there was a lot going on in the macroeconomic climate. I think, especially, with the background I have as a marketer, some of those channels that we have depended on regularly as the bread and butter of our marketing were pulled out from under us. One that comes to mind specifically, I mean, my background, I was many, many years at Google, so I often have a tendency to talk about search, both paid search and organic search. But we had really, I would say even just, 12 months ago, I was thinking very, very hard about investing in organic search the right way to build a strong foundation for these growing companies. So how do you stake a claim on SEO? How do you do that at scale? How do you do it in a very thoughtful, targeted way so you're not spending frivolously? And boy, oh boy, maybe 9 months ago, I would say completely, like the rug was completely pulled out from that side of the business. So looking back, I would say there's been a lot of instability in the macroeconomic climate, but I think one of the things that I felt more tangibly is a lot of the channels that we had dependence on are no longer things we can depend on. And so it feels a bit of a mad scramble sometimes, in especially on the marketing side of the house these days, to find the channel that works, because the channels feel like a juggler has them up in the air right now. And I thrive in a climate like that because testing and seeing is one of my favorite things to do. But it's a lot of stress. It's a lot of stress to not know what's going to work and to bet your budget on something. And I think we're all feeling that.
Yeah, yeah. So, new year, new budgets, new experiments. Is there something in particular that you're excited about 2024?
Mm. Two things. I will say two things. And a lot of these are really founded on this idea of go to network that we talk about at my company. But, you know, we had strategies in place. They were really good. A lot of them were built on relationships. What happened was we scaled, right? Now, instead of sending one personalized email, I can push a button and send 8 million personalized emails.
Yep.
Well, what that did, when we hit that point of scale, I think for a long time we were seeing increasing returns in email, in content, in SEO. A lot of it was doing it well because it focused on the user, but then doing a lot more of it. And I think over the last 2 years, we're starting to really feel the pain points that I will say we created. We as revenue professionals have created a lot of pain points for ourselves, because instead of sending one thoughtful, well-worded email to someone, we now send 1 million, and we hope that 0.2% get back to us if we're lucky. I think we're at the point where that volume has ticked over. And so what Go to Network from a strategy perspective says is we need to return, the old is new again. We need to return to the fundamentals.
Basics. Yeah.
And so the strategies, to answer your question finally, the strategies that I'm most excited about are the ones that double down on really relationship-driven growth. So I would put into that bucket things like partnerships, community done in a way that is relevant for your business. Not everybody's going to build community the exact same way. So I'm putting a little asterisk on that one. And even some things around, events. And then from a product standpoint, growth loops related to your existing customers. So everything really based off of the people we know and building on that growth that we know is a little bit closer to the funnel.
Makes
So
sense.
yeah.
Makes sense. A lot of guests, when I talk to them, they've been talking about focusing on the existing customers. It's a lot easier to, keep your existing customers happy and expand within and get referrals versus go and get the net new customers. So I think your strategy is spot on. So we talked a lot about channels and how to distribute our investment in there. I have a perfect exercise for us here. I'm going to share my screen here, Melissa.
Oh, I like the aid. I like the visual aid. This will help me.
Right. Yeah. So here's a screen. As we know, growth comes from many channels. Right. You can't just rely on one channel. You have to continue to experiment different channels to build that effective pipeline. So in this exercise, you have 100 pennies, and there are multiple channels through which you can generate pipeline. And your goal is to invest these 100 pennies across these channels in a way to build the effective pipeline for your business that converts into revenue. How will you distribute these pennies?
Are you going to drag them for me so I don't have to count along the way? Because
yes, I will drive.
I love that. I love that. All right. I would like to drop at least one, and this comes with a caveat. I would love to drop one at least in partnership-led growth.
All
I
right.
think I think especially this applies to early stage companies. If I was an early stage company, let's play around that. I would actually drop almost two into that. And I'll tell you why. I would drop two because one is going to be around marketing. partnership and one is going to be around product partnership. And I think if you are looking to find an unlock for your business,
Yeah.
it's going to come in the form of unlocking some kind of distribution loop around the product. So there is a way that they work together and they can amplify each other. Or you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck if you use each other to amplify and share audiences. I speak a lot about finding partners who look in the same direction.
Yep.
I think it's a really good way to call it because I have even seen partnerships work between competitors. If you are in a category that is, in kind of like a category growth motion where it's something new or you're pushing into a territory, it even serves you well to almost align in certain ways with your competitors because it's that rising tide, all boats, right? Like you need to really get each other's engines turning. So, okay, I'll stop. I'm going to put 2 in partnership.
Yep.
Drop 1 in founder-led growth for me right now, because although I believe strongly in brand,
Yeah.
I believe a quicker path to winning in brand is to make the brand around the founder. I think the founder can go very, very far with that. I don't think it takes a lot of money though, so I'm only going to give it one little. That's for all the content distribution. Others may disagree with me in this. Please drop 3 in product-led growth because I'm just someone who believes that if you build the right loops into your product,
Yeah.
and if you build it in a way that you're essentially making your product serve itself up, you're going to find the unlocks. Now, if you don't find the unlocks, it's probably because your product wasn't great and you shouldn't be in the market. But if you really invest in PLG, and I would probably also, boy, it's funny how much this reveals, doesn't it? Okay, I would probably put at least 1 in customer-led growth.
Okay.
Because I think that actually goes hand in hand with product-led growth. I think your
Sure.
customers need to be the champion of that. I would put, I'm going to put 2, but can we put them between marketing and community-led growth? Because community-led growth to me doesn't have to be a full community. It doesn't have to be the incredible model that we've seen work by, like if you've read Derek Weeks's book, he talks about like the real community model. A lot of what I believe is kind of community-led can also be done more from a marketing standpoint. So I would
Here,
put,
marketing was, our idea was a lot of paid marketing, right?
okay, then drop 2 in community.
In community. Okay.
And then I'd probably put that last one in, it's hard if I start thinking about what the activities are associated with it. I want to put one in brand, but the way that I build brands is usually around the customer. So for me, I don't want to say no investment in brand, but all of my brand investment would be in founder and customer-led growth, essentially.
Sure.
So let's drop that one in customer-led.
Perfect.
Isn't it surprising that the marketer doesn't have anything that says marketing-led?
In marketing, yeah. because that just shows you the channels are evolving, right? In last just 18 months, these channels have completely evolved.
They absolutely have. And I would say that I've always played the role of a marketer in a high growth early stage company, which effectively covers all of this. I mean, I'm touching sales, marketing, community, partnership, customer brand, and founder and event from the marketer role. And so I think what's interesting is marketing, defining it more as like paid marketing, paid advertising. It plays a very different role from the semantics of marketing at large.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna put some more clarification into this.
Yeah.
This
It's eye-opening to watch myself go through it without pre-planning. And I'm sure I can have great debate around this.
So I bet if you go back to your notes, you'll find similarities as to how you made these investments. So now let's take a look at this. So this sheet here, this chart here shows you how community as a whole, and when you average them out, how they have made their bets, right? Some part of last year, some part of this year. And I'm going to overlay your data on top of this.
Oh my goodness.
In orange color is your distribution of pennies, and the blue is the community. When you look at this chart, is this something that surprises you?
Actually, it doesn't. I think there's 2 things that would make me very different from some of your traditional guests. I think the first is the stage of company that I work at. So I work at companies that are moving, I can't use the word I want to use, but very, very fast.
Yeah.
Companies that do not have the ability to invest in ads because they don't have the budget. Companies that don't have, a sales motion in place because we're still figuring out what the product is. And so a lot of my tendency to invest in these other things is due to the stages of companies that I work at. The other thing is that I am definitely someone who will stand up on stage and say we have a broken model in some of these. I truly feel that a lot of companies are doubling down on strategies that are just heading toward a cliff, that are getting smaller and smaller and smaller returns. And it's not necessarily where I would invest. And I think this is evidence of that, right? Like I'm putting dollars in different places.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is very, very good. Thank you so much for joining us. This is very helpful. I'm sure our audience and the community is going to get a lot of value from the nuggets that you shared with us.
My pleasure. I'm going to enjoy watching my own self over and over again.
Thank you.